This is part 2 of the guitar tone video. So if you haven't watched part 1, go get caught up to speed on that. If you can't see, there is a pile of guitars behind me, and here's the experiment. I recorded each one acoustically, and then I recorded electrically, but not through an amplifier. I recorded it directly through an API mic pre into the DAW because I don't want the coloration of an amplifier and then a microphone and a mic pre to confuse anything that's going on the electrical output of each guitar. I have 3 Les Pauls, an Les Paul SG, and then this Korina Firebird guy, so that you can hear something with a completely different wood that has no mahogany but the same pickups. So let's listen to the acoustical recording of 2 of the Les Pauls, and these are both maple top. These are both 50s and or 1960 maple top Les Pauls. So I am playing that particular thing, just so you know, before we go anywhere else. I am playing that so you can hear low end and the attack, what that attack profile is. One more time. Now here's another one, acoustically. So I'm going to lead you through this so you understand what I am listening for and what I hear. That second one has a leaner low end, but it definitely has more presence. It has a better transient attack. And both of these guitars, by the way, have brand new strings. It has a better transient attack, and it has a clearer, chimier top end. Listen to... opposed to that one feels a little woollier. But what that guitar has, so you can acoustically hear 2 differences. So is that going to translate electrically? Let's find out. That one certainly has clearer top end and a leaner low end. That one does not have clearer top end and more low end. And guess what? That matches up with what we heard acoustically. So even though they both have PAFs, they both have 500K pots, even though everything is going to measure slightly differently, and that is going to have some impact on the final sound, it is lining up with the difference between those 2 guitars. The one that has the clearer, brighter, less muddy voice, that in burst speak we would call that one a barker, or actually, sorry, not a barker, a biter. The one that's a biter has more bite, both electrically and acoustically. The one that's a moaner has less bite and more moan, and that's burst speak there. Okay, we're going to go to something completely different here. Let's stick with that second guitar in that sample, which is this. And another one of the guitars. I'm not going to tell you which one it is yet. completely different frequency balance on that guy. And listen to the just lack of bite on that, as opposed to so frequency wise, mid-range focused, bright. Very low frequency focused, not bright. How did that translate electrically? The other guitar. Let's listen to the two-note part. Okay, this is a huge difference right here for me. As opposed to, there's just no transient or bite to that. Let's listen to the strum again. So not only is that missing the transient attack and its woolly, I'm sensing a lower octave in that, and that is following along with, as opposed to, it is following that frequency response. Those are the partials I am talking about. That is the harmonic overtone that happens. So it's not simply just you're not just hearing a 440 by itself. You are hearing an octave below that, an octave above that at various levels. And the resonance of the wood is going to create an overtone, not only acoustically, but it's also going to affect the way the string vibrates, and it is going to affect the way the body is vibrating into the pickup, which is acting like a piezo in the way that the magnet and the coil are going to vibrate along with that. So that is going to infect the sound of just the string disrupting the magnetic field. All right, in our last sample, we're going to have a completely different type of wood and a slightly different construction than the Les Paul. Let's listen to the difference between this and an all mahogany Les Paul Custom. So there is a lot of attack on that. It's in a much higher frequency, but there's definitely a lower octave acoustically. Back to the Les Paul Custom. That is a bright guitar, but it is very mid-range focused as opposed to them, which has more of a scooped sound, but there is a low octave in that. Does that track with the electric sound? Boy, that transient certainly tracks. Here's the Les Paul Custom. Okay, notice just this little thing. So that has a very different attack and decay than not just the frequency response, but there is a very high mid attack transient that disappears very quickly. Can you hear that? As opposed to, that is much more even. It's less of a spike that goes away right away. Does that translate electrically? As opposed to, and that tracks with what I am hearing difference-wise acoustically between the two. And these are things, there are factors that you can chalk up to the frequency response and the power of each pickup. There are things that you can attribute to the high-end response, the darkness, based on the resistance of each pot on the output. However, there are tonal things which are harmonic. They are attack, sustain, decay related. These are all associated with the construction, with the materials, with the technique of the build, and those are coming through. You cannot deny that. And every electrical output that we have listened to matches up with what we are hearing acoustically. So anyone who's saying that electric guitars are just the strings and the pickup and that's the sound, I am sorry, you are just absolutely incorrect. And if you are a friend of mine and you still think this, you are welcome to come over and I will show you. All right, thanks.